This video is proudly sponsored by Raymond James Caravans, based in Atherstone, Warwickshire. Visit them to see the new Bailey autograph range, which is arriving there now.
Hello, I'm Peter Vaughan, and today I'm very pleased to bring you the very first review of a brand new British motorhome that will make its debut at the October NEC show. Not even Bailey's staff have lived in this. They delivered it for me to this campsite, the Campervan Motorhome Club's Broadway site, and we may be interrupted because there's a heritage railway that runs directly behind my pitch. So if you hear steam engines, whistles, train noises, well, don't be surprised, but be surprised by the new Bailey instead, because this is Bailey back in its heartland. The autograph name was first used back in 2014. The Series 3 came out in 2019, but its life was cut short by COVID and the lack of supply of Peugeot base vehicles, which really dried up, and Bailey switched to Ford for the Adamo range, which in many ways took the place of the autograph as their bread and butter. This, though, is autograph back again, the new Series 4, which is a 2026 model. It's a brand new model, but one that retains the features for which autograph was famous. Peugeot cab with an Alco low-line chassis and Audi heating. So autograph now sits at the top of a much expanded Bailey range of campervans and motorhomes. There are initially 4 models in this new lineup, including this 79 4T, the single bed model. There's also a 79 4i with an island bed, an 85-5 with front and rear lounges, a bit like the Adamo XL DL that I recently tested in Spain. You can watch that video as well. And a new layout of the 72-2, which is a shorter model with, again, a familiar layout like the 69-4 in the Adamo, with a big front lounge, a drop-down bed and a rear garage and huge washroom. But let's concentrate on this 7.95 metres of new Bailey autograph. So this motorhome is 7.95 metres long, 2.84 metres high, and it's just a tad, a few centimetres narrower than the previous autograph, which was 2.42 metres wide, making it one of the wider vans on the market. Crucially, these models are on a 4,250 kilo chassis, which Bailey says should give this 79 4T a payload of over a tonne. We also don't have a price yet, but estimates seem to be around the £95,000 mark. Again, if we get an exact price, we'll put that up on the screen too. Whatever the final price, it's typical Bailey in that everything comes as standard. So things like the alloy wheels and the two-lay awning are included in the list price, and the two-lay awning will be black on production models. The only features on this particular van that aren't included are the cab mats and the TV. There will be an alternative jasmine upholstery scheme with aqua clean that will be available from the factory, and as dealer fit accessories you'll be able to have mobile Wi-Fi and a tow bar, but that's it. There's no packs, no options. Even the automatic gearbox, which of course you could never have on a Peugeot before, even that is standard equipment. Not only do you get the 8-speed automatic gearbox, but the more powerful 180 horsepower engine. So no excuses for being a slow coach in this Bailey. The cab comes as standard in this graphite finish, and you get the full LED headlights with automatic high beam. There's changes to the styling too, so the overcab pod is new, and of course that includes the big opening overcab sunroof. At the other end you've got a completely restyled back panel, and I think Bailey have done a cracking job on that. Not only does it look good, but they've divided it for ease of repair, so it's not just one massive panel to replace if you should be unfortunate enough. Of course, you have got a reversing camera built in, as well as the bike rack mountings. Side panels are in this dove grey finish, and of course the construction is still using Bailey's Alutech. So GRP on the outside, GRP on the inside, a high density polystyrene insulation, and it does meet the grade 3 standard for heating and insulation. The first Bailey motorhomes back in 2011 looked very caravan-y, but they've completely got away from that with this new autograph. Bailey also talks a great deal about the improved off-grid capability of this new autograph. So you get a 200 watt solar panel on the roof, you get two 95 amp hour AGM leisure batteries, you get a larger freshwater tank, 115 litres, a larger gas locker that will take two 13 kilo cylinders, and they fit an absorption fridge rather than a compressor model. So that can use gas rather than using up your 12 volt supply when you're off grid. They could perhaps have gone further still with lithium batteries, but good to see that they're taking the off-grid capability seriously, because they say that 40% of Bailey motorhome owners take extended trips abroad. Of course, another aspect of long-term touring is having enough storage. So you've got a nice big garage on this 79 4T. Width is 80 centimetres, height is 98 centimetres, so there are taller garages, especially in some of the Continental single bed models, but I do like these shelved areas, very useful. There's one at the back here too. You've got access here for your Aldi heating for servicing. The tie down points, lashing points are fixed in the floor. You can't adjust those, but you've got drains in the floor at both ends, so if you've got something mucky in here and you need to wash it out, well, that makes things easier. Lighting is pretty good with this strip across the back wall, and you've got 12 volt and 230 volt sockets too. You've also got internal access into the garage, which is quite unusual on a single bed layout. And you've also got the table stored in here. We'll come to that later on. These aren't actually the correct garage doors, and there's nothing. Spot the steam train, by the way. Yeah, these will be changed on the production vehicle, and hopefully there'll be something to clip them in the open position. There's nothing at the moment. One thing that is to production spec, do remember that this is a prototype, so it's not the finished article. One thing that will be standard is these new flush fit windows from Polyplastic. They do look a lot better. Also on this slide, you've got your external gas barbecue point, toilet servicing of course, and an external main socket and TV aerial socket. The door is new too. It's a 700mm wide Hartle door, and with this nice low entrance you don't need an external step. Comes with a fly screen as well, and the awning light above. The freshwater filler is here, and it's one of those whale fillers that requires a special hose. Not always the most convenient thing to use. I'd prefer just a straightforward screw cap there. The freshwater tank itself is underslung. As I say, it's 115 litres, and it is heated and insulated. And then back here is your waste tank, also underslung but not heated and insulated, and it does it does have a slightly vulnerable drain hose, and this, well, yeah, drains quite quickly, but maybe on this level of van, maybe next time they could fit an electric opening one. And the final thing to note before we go inside is you get a spare wheel as standard. So, train spotting and external tour over. Time to see the inside of Bailey's new Autograph. And the internal finish with this natural oak and the mulberry soft furnishings apparently comes from the flagship of their caravan range, the Alicante Grande. Apparently it's one of those things that you drag along behind a car and doesn't have an engine. But hey, I don't know anything about those. I'm Mr. Motorhome. And in this motorhome, well, the first thing, I'm really pleased to see this swivel coffee table, so you don't have to get that massive freestanding unit out of the garage every single time. For coffees and snacks, gin and tonics, whatever, this is perfect. Good to see too that, of course, this retains Bailey's leadership, if you like, in crash testing and safety, because way back in 2011 when they brought their first motorhomes out, they crash tested them, and some of the lessons learnt from that were the strengthening of the floors, the hoops under the seats so that you don't crash down into the base of the seat in a serious accident. This new model has ISOFIX too. But if you're not passenger carrying, if you're using it just for two people, well, there's a nice spacious feel to this lounge, and part of that is because there is huge headroom. No drop down bed at the front of the vehicle as you might have expected, so that gives a lovely airy feel to the front of the vehicle. Big overcab sunroof, as we saw from the outside, nice reading lights in the cab too, and those have got built-in USBs. If you're looking at the fit and finish of the mouldings around the cab, don't berate us or berate Bailey for the quality of those. These are just 3D printed prototypes. The production ones will have a better quality finish. You get these nice scatter cushions, and I like the way these seats wrap around, just gives it a bit more of a homely feel. Headroom is actually 2.13 metres or 7 foot in old money, and if you think bigger is always better, then the telly will impress too. Now that's not included in the spec, the screen itself, although you do get the aerial. It's a 32-inch screen that will fit in there, and of course it rotates to horizontal for viewing. Underneath you've got a wireless charging pad for your phone, and that has USB A and C sockets built in as well, and this whole area has been redesigned now with the Autograph logo on there. In terms of the lounge, well, the settees aren't quite long enough really to get your feet up, but they are quite comfortable as long as you've got long legs, because with the step in the floor, the step down from the cab into the lounge, well, these seats do feel quite high. You can sit here to watch the TV, or here, but my favourite place, as is often the way, is to use the cab seats. Wherever you sit though, there's plenty of lighting, both natural and artificial. You've got these downlights under the top lockers, the mood lighting above those cupboards, and of course not just the overcab sunroof, but two roof lights behind, both push-up ones, but a big one over the back end of the lounge, and then a further one in the kitchen before you even get to the bedroom and washroom areas. When it comes to dining, you will have to recover the table. Now it's great to be able to use it outside because it's freestanding. It's great not to have a permanent table taking up space in the lounge, but when you erect this table Well, it is pretty massive, and now I'm fairly trapped in the cab. Also, it seems a little bit low relative to the cab seats, and yet if I move onto the sofa, well, there's not much room between my leg and the table. So, great for outside dining, not quite so great inside, and I wouldn't want to have to go and retrieve it from the garage if it was raining cats and dogs outside. Then the kitchen, well, you've got these basalt worktops, and I always like this Bailey feature of covering the glass lid of the hob. Just gives the worktop more practicality, I think, rather than trying to use glass as a worktop. Gives a more integrated look to the kitchen too. So that just lifts up and clips into place, and then you've still got the glass lid as well. 3 gas rings and a mains hot plate, and separate grill and oven. Nice to see. A couple of decent sized soft closed drawers as well. And at the end of the unit, which is now this slight L shape, you've got a slide out unit for tin food, packet food, that sort of thing. Again, soft closing. The sink cover has a chopping board on its reverse side, and the spec does include a washing up bowl and drainer as well. You've got 2 main sockets at the back here, so they're conveniently placed, and the microwave also is included in the standard spec, and that's one of the flatbed microwaves, so it doesn't have a tray or plate that you have to store elsewhere. Talking of storage, well, you've got these big high level cupboards, but if you've got anything at the back on that top shelf, well, you will need to be reasonably tall to reach it, or perhaps even to see it. Over on the other side, you've got a tall 142 litre Thetford fridge. That has a freezer section, the top 15 litres, and a bottle drawer or salad area at the bottom, again in a slide out section. I should remind you that the fridge is an absorption type fridge, so 3-way 12 volt, 230 volt or gas. And it's automatic energy selection too, so it picks the power source for itself. But these absorption fridges, whilst they use a less 12 volt power, so may be advantageous off grid, they don't like really extreme heat as much as compressor fridges, and they do need you to be parked on a level bit of ground. Above that is another cupboard, but you will need to be tall to see in there. And the other thing I forgot to mention over on the other side is that you have one of these fancy taps with a hose style fitting. And then there's a mirror to make sure that you're suitably attired. Like the t-shirt? Beyond the kitchen, of course, you have the ablutions, and remember that this van is 1/2 metre longer than some of its rivals, so space back here ought to be plentiful. You've got the shower on one side, on the off side, toilet room door does the usual swing round and close off the back of the van. There is a weird gap down here, which if this was for a family model, I can imagine kids thinking it was hilarious to peer in there, but no, this is more of a 2 and occasional +2, so not so important. And then to separate off the bedroom, you have this sort of upholstered panel that swings across. Better than those thin concertina screens we see in a lot of vans. Perhaps not quite as good as a solid wooden panel, but at least it wouldn't rattle. And it does have quite a nice feel to it. Although you go up a step into the back of the van, you've still got 1.91 metres headroom in the shower. Now these shower doors now close magnetically, so there's no strap to hold them, but you will still need something to stop them rattling. It's a tinted door, just pulls across. The shower tower has recesses for your shampoo and so on, and it is backlit too, and there's plenty of space in here and 2 drains in the tray. The only issue is this large step in the shower tray, which doesn't matter for me, but if you've got large feet it might be an inconvenience. And above you have the usual drying rail for any wet gear. Before I talk about the toilet area, I should mention too that water pressure from the Eco Camel shower head was very good. And then in the toilet area, well, you have just about got enough room to use this space with its door closed. You've got an Audi radiator in here and just about enough room to get your head over the basin. Just be careful of the mirror behind. Plenty of storage in these mirror fronted cupboards, but they could do with upstands or straps to keep everything in place. Down below, toilet roll lives on the inside of the cupboard door. Again, you've got this basalt finish for the worktop, which looks rather nice, and you've got a second roof vent here and robe hooks on the toilet door and towel hooks inside this space as well. It's worth noting too that if you have short legs, the toilet is on a plinth. And a strange thing is that the pull cord that does the toilet light also does the shower light, which if you want to sneak quietly to the loo in the night, not going to be easy to not wake up your partner. But you should sleep soundly in these comfortable rear beds. This one on the near side is 1.9 metres long, or 6'3". Its opposite number is 1.86 metres or 6'1". Both are 83 centimetres wide, which is 2 foot 8.5. At the foot of this bed you have a mounting for a second telly if you want one. And over on that side is a little cupboard next to the Audi heating unit, so maybe somewhere to keep your socks and pants in the winter. I like these blinds, which I've not come across before, with the dark finish. I think that looks perhaps better than the usual white. Notice no top cupboards in the bedroom, neither at the side nor at the rear, so you've got plenty of room to sit up in bed. And in the middle here, well, you've got an upholstered section, but you can also fold this down, have a little coffee table, somewhere for your morning brew. You've got USB A and C and a main socket in there, a little bit of storage for some bedtime knickknacks, maybe your phone charger or a book to read. Talking of reading, well, you've got these reading lights at the side as well. Nicely upholstered behind me. Nice ambient lighting as well. And then under the foot of each bed you've got a wardrobe on either side, and then on this side some drawers for some folded clothes. In this near side wardrobe though, I'd be slightly concerned about road dirt coming up through those vents in the floor. As is usually the way with these type of layouts, you can extend this centre section and then you could sleep across or just use this extra bit of space in the middle. But then you do need a ladder for access, and I always wonder how many people actually use this format. It seems to go against the whole point of a single bed layout to me. And in this Bailey, it's a slightly clunky system too. It's not just a slide out panel, you have to lift it out and drop it in, and of course you need somewhere to keep the extra cushion as well. my recommendation, if you don't want single beds, don't buy this sort of layout. If you need an occasional extra couple of birds, well, it is possible. You remove a panel off the wall over there, slide out the slats from under this seat, which then have drop down legs, and retrieve this huge infill cushion which you'll have to store in the garage. As you can see, it's not the flattest bed, it's not the best bed, but for a kid or a couple of kids, for very occasional use, yeah, it doesn't add the weight or take away the headroom that a drop down bed would, but this is much more of an occasional berth. Measurements 2.18 metres long by 1.11 metres wide. That's 7'2" by 3'8". At this stage in the video, I would normally say, and now let's go for a drive. But sadly, I can't. The prototype nature of this vehicle means I'm not allowed to take it out on the road. And that's a shame, because I was looking forward to it with the Alco chassis for super stability, the automatic gearbox for easy driving, and the 180 horsepower engine to whiz up the hills. Well, I was looking forward to it. But instead, I'll just have to tell you about all the spec you get on this new Peugeot cab. Starting with this 10-inch screen, which will give you your sat-nav, your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and the reversing camera. Then you'll get automatic air conditioning, the digital version, not the on-off, just blows cold air conditioning. You get adaptive cruise control, which measures your distance to the vehicle in front. You'll get an electronic handbrake, not the manual one that's fitted to this vehicle. Those LED headlights, of course, and intelligent lane keeping, speed assist, and emergency braking. You'll get a digital dashboard and a heated windscreen, as well as a wireless smartphone charger, and of course this leather steering wheel. So apart from the fact that the fascia still looks like a Peugeot Boxer from more than a decade ago, and you still don't get height adjustment on the steering column, well, Peugeot have fitted all the spec for this Bailey. So, time to sum up on this new Bailey Autograph. It's certainly the best looking Bailey yet on the outside, and it maintains those key Autograph features of the Alco chassis and the Audi heating, which will give you a much cosier warmth than a blown air system. Of course, it's the first Autograph and the first of these Peugeot Boxers with the new automatic gearbox, something that Peugeot didn't offer in the past. Crucially, it's about 1/2 metre longer than a lot of its continental rivals, and I'd suggest that extra space has gone into the lounge area and the kitchen. The kitchen being a key USP when comparing this against continental imported rivals. Starting at the back, well, I like the bedroom, the spaciousness of not having the extra cupboards and the fact that you can sit up in bed. The washroom area is compromised by the step in the shower and the height of the loo, but otherwise does pretty well. The kitchen, of course, is a star feature. And then in the lounge, well, I like the coffee table, but I don't like the big table that you have to hike in from outside, and it just doesn't fit really in this space. And then there's the seat heights. Great in the cab seats, but the rear sofas just seem a tad high, especially in relation to that big table. But I'm sure if you're an existing Autograph owner looking to upgrade, this will probably be top of your list. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Please keep watching, keep subscribing. Many more motorhome reviews coming along soon.